Yo, what's going on, guys? And today I want to talk about the Boston Celtics offseason preview. We already know that Al Horford's contemplating retirement, so we don't know if he's coming back. Kristaps Porzingis is the most likely trade candidate, as he's expected an expiring contract that is going to need to be extended. And as well as Jrue Holiday, if they do trade one of the guards, is going to be the most likely candidate, even though he wants to stay. They'd rather move forward with Derek White and Peyton Pritchard, as they will both be extended. So they have the 28th and 32nd pick. I believe one of those picks will be either used on a guy like Maxime Renault or Ryan Kalkbrenner, as well as a shooter. I could see a Chaz Lanier be a guy that they'd be interested in. So before we start today's video, I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. What do you guys expect this squad to do and why? And can they get back to contention? Also, I think the dark horse move is to package Jrue and Kristaps Porzingis for a player to give them cap, or players to give them cap flexibility and retool to still be competitive while Jayson Tatum recovers from his ruptured Achilles and Jaylen Brown is the front man. That's just my thoughts. Now, what do we think? Because the timeline is more than likely thrown, and I'm a big fan of what they're doing here with the three-point shooting. I do believe it's going to be hard to be true contenders without Tatum. I'm not going to sit here and be like Tatum's going to be a different player. I still think he's going to be a great player. He's more than likely just going to remain a power forward. So if we think about this team, the cost of having this many good players, it eats up almost entirely all their salary. Their payroll is $13 million ahead of the second place Cavaliers. And I think they're going to try to get out of this, which we already mentioned. Jrue Holiday, you're looking at teams probably along the lines, the Clippers, maybe the Mavericks, maybe this is the Hornets, the Heat. I think a dark horse is the Timberwolves, depending on how the series goes, because Conley is seemingly over the hill. But like, the problem with me, if I'm any team, is that Jrue Holiday, yeah, he's still good. He might have lost half a step, but he's on a pretty big contract. And I could see Brooklyn or the Wizards being teams that could bring him in as a veteran presence. Now, being over the second apron is obviously going to hurt them, and that's why another guy, Kristaps Porzingis, Brooklyn's an option. It does become hard to see where he goes. The Clippers, I doubt the Lakers would be in that sweepstakes. So to me, I think the Celtics would try to be looking to get off a salary while also recuperating maybe some late first round picks, early seconds, to get cheap players under roster control. Al Horford is turning 39 in June, and look, he's a willing and still good perimeter defender at 39. It just, if they're going to bring him back, please put it at a minimum, as at this point, he's way better than Udonis Haslem was, but it is a similar situation in terms of what his role is there. Luke Cornett, I think they're going to be going with center by committee approach. 28th pick, they draft the center, or the 32nd, and maybe they sign somebody, but I do believe Neemias Queta, Cornett, and whoever they draft/sign, or both, will follow what the Warriors did when they were in their dynasty years, to having a center by committee approach, with each one being able to specialize or be better at something than the others aren't. I think Cornett is somebody they could keep at a relatively affordable price if they shed some money. Now, the restrictions of the second apron do not extend to prohibiting teams from re-signing their own players because they first signed him in February 2022. The Celtics will have the full bird rights on Cornet, and that'll allow him to resign with the Celtics to any maximum possible salary. Obviously, you will not be getting that, but he's not going to be getting the minimum. Torrey Craig was cool. He didn't really do much for them. They brought him in, though. He's somebody that if they have interest in bringing in or bringing back just to fill out the bench, I think they would be fine with, especially that it was a minimum. But with the Celtics taking a gap year, I wouldn't be surprised if they end up deciding that, or he ends up deciding that he'd rather go to a legit contender. So this is a team with $223 million in guaranteed salary. They're $40 million over the luxury tax. They're $32 million over the first apron, $20 million over the second apron. And the only exception they have is the minimum salary exception if they remain over the second apron. And that's almost certainly will be if they don't trade Kristaps Porzingis and Jrue Holiday. So what are we looking at? It's definitely, let's just talk some trades they could do. I do think a sneaky team to watch is the Phoenix Suns, obviously Kevin Durant, because he would maybe keep the championship window open while also allowing you to package Porzingis and Jrue Holiday for him and get under the, well, you wouldn't get under the apron, but you'd be able to get him if you make it a multi-team trade. But really, I think the dark horses are the Utah Jazz. And that's actually because Kristaps Porzingis fits next to Lauri Markkanen. They need a point guard in Jrue Holiday. And honestly, if they were to send them either just like, even if it's just one, like Kristaps for John Collins or Jrue for John Collins, I'd be cool. But honestly, Jrue packaged with Kristaps for John Collins and Jordan Clarkson, maybe throw in Svi Mykhailiuk, that actually might be able to get you under the second apron. Also gives the Jazz legit guys next to Lauri Markkanen and point guard, and then kind of makes them a playoff team. So I think deals like that are possible. Maybe even looking at Portland for Kristaps. We talked about Brooklyn. I mean, I really do think Orlando could be a dark horse for Kristaps. They'd have to give you a combination of things, maybe like a Jonathan Isaac, but like, I think there's places where you could dump salary and take back a couple role players. I don't think it's far-fetched to think that. So let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. What do you guys expect and why? But besides that, hit the like and subscribe button. Peace out.